that the new clause be read a second time.
Oh, yeah. Honorable Chair, I beg to move that the new clause, Section 9 of the Principal Act, be now read a second time.
Thank you. I now propose the question that the new clause 5A be now read a second time. Any interest in this? Honorable Rahim? Anyone else you can? Yes, I'll come to you, Dr. Makali.
Chair, I think this muddies this representative because previously it was nominated by a national body. Now it says a representative of a registered community forest association. Madam Chair, you know there's so many forest associations, community forest associations in this country. In my constituency, I've got one or two. So how are we now going to know from where they will pick up a representative, Madam Chair? Because when it said a national body of community forest, but now they're saying a representative of a registered community forest association. So that means it makes it even more harder to find one person from amongst more than 400 or 500 who may have been in the national body itself. So, Madam Speaker, I think the chair needs to elaborate more on this.
Well, before I go to the chair, I'll go to Dr. Makali.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chairperson. Madam Chairperson, I think this amendment is very important. I think what the chair is trying to tell us is that the representative who sits in that important board must be from a registered community, irrespective of where they come from. It is somebody who will be representing registered community forest. So to me, I don't really see any problem, and I do support it. Thank you.
The Honorable Dr. Mutunga.
Honorable Chair, what happens naturally is that once this legislation is assented to, all the forest associations will get together to form a national body. That normally happens. And then because they want to take that slot, and nobody is more qualified than the other. So they will form a national forest association, community associations, and that will now appoint one person to the board, instead of the CS being left to look for anyone who probably might qualify. So I think the provision is very important.
Dr. Pokose, the last one on this.
Chair, I want to support that amendment because you know the CFS, Community Forest Associations, having a representative who is responsible to them makes a lot of sense, because this is these are part and parcel of the Act, the Kenya Forest Act, and therefore we must be able to make sure that not just anybody is just chosen to represent them, but somebody who comes from a registered community forest association.
Sorry, Chair. The chair mentioned that the national body was the national body of the Community Forest Association. Can he clarify? Because that's what he said. That's why I'm asking my question, because that's what he said in his presentation. It's the national body of the Community Forest Association.
Chair?
Thank you, Chair. I understand his concerns. There is no recognized body called national body in this act, and therefore it has only made things very difficult, and then the CS ends up choosing anyone. So basically what we are saying, as Makali rightly put it, is that this person who serves here must be from a registered community forest association. Yes. Then that saves the whole situation. How they get there, as long as they are from a registered community forest association, it really
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chairman, and the members who have contributed. I put the question that the new clause 5A be now read a second time. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now propose the question that the new clause 5A be part of the bill. I now put the question that clause 5A be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
New clause 5B.
Chair, move the second reading of new clause 5B.
Honorable Chair, I beg to move that the new clause 5B be now read a second time. Deleting paragraph C and substituting therefore a new paragraph as appears on the order paper. And Honorable Chair, this particular amendment basically seeks to enhance the qualifications of the CCF. The current qualifications are you're required to have a first degree. We want to enhance these qualifications to a master's degree.
I now propose the question. I propose the question, which is that the new clause 5B be now read a second time. Honorable Tandaza.
Thank you, Chair. When it comes to the qualifications of basically most of the appointees in this bill, they seem to be very specific. Specific in terms of which degree qualifies. And I know, since the time of my graduation as a civil engineer, there's been so many other degrees related to civil engineering, which are equally competent, they are equally good. Could we add and any other relevant degree? Because as I've gone through those qualifications, Chair, they tend to be very specific. And we know degrees keep on evolving. Specialization comes in with the time. Why should we lock out other competent, qualifying, relevant degrees as we proceed? Because we are doing this for eternity. Thank you, Chair.
Would you like to engage? You may want to come closer to the chair to see whether you can make a further amendment. Okay, the Honorable Dr. Makali Molu, before, as we give you time to see whether you will succeed.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Chairperson. This issue of qualification is normally a very tricky issue, and I think I would want the chair to listen. It's important to have a master's degree, but I think if you make it mandatory, most of the other positions you just say bachelor's degree must have been an added advantage. So I don't know whether you really want to lock everybody who has a bachelor's with a long experience out of this position. How I wish you retained it at bachelor's degree and open it like Honorable Tandaza is saying. Don't lock it, because there are quite a number of now new degrees coming up which are relevant. Relevant degree, bachelor's degree, relevant degree, master's added advantage. Otherwise,
Yes.
now.
Well, but as we talk about these, honorable members, in master's degree, they are talking about forestry, natural resources management, environmental studies, strategic management, law, economics, or public administration. It's quite open. There is a lot of interest in this, so you may want to take a minute each. Dr. Pukose is the first one on the radar.
Chair, I was just getting interested in this, that I would want to support the position where we are talking of other related degrees, because now, what's the relevance of masters in law in terms of this thing? Always, when you see many of these draftings, law is always there. And I don't know whether is it because they are the ones who draft the bills or what happens. Because how come somebody who has a master's in medicine cannot be a director in this? Or a master's in civil engineering, yeah? Yeah, so I think even agriculture and all those things, I think we would just better that the chair adds a further amendment.
Any other? Yeah.
Or another related degree.
Chair, think about that. We'll come to you last. Member for North Imenti, Honorable Rahim.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I agree with the Chair, Honorable Kawaya. I do not agree with any relevant, because we are diluting everything. If we say any relevant, then they will pick a degree from anywhere, any discipline. So, Madam Chair, we should remove the law, which Honorable Pokose has said, but we should not put any relevant.
Yes, do you have a point? You need to put a point of order.
I just want to, Honorable Rahim, that it is not, I have not said any other. I have said or other related.
No, I'm not replying to you.
No, don't engage him
because
directly. Let's give him time to put
quoted me
across.
as saying any other degree. But
Yes,
what
that
I've
is-
said, or other related degree.
I was very keen.
I did not, I did not mention.
Member for Imenti North, I listened very keenly to the Honorable Dr. Pokos.
I never mentioned Dr. Pokose. It was Honorable Tandaza who said any other relevant degree. I never mentioned Honorable Pokose, for that matter, Madam Chair.
So
you can go to Hansard.
you want to be responded to by the member
No,
for...
I don't want to be
by the Honorable
responded.
Tandaza?
I do not want to be responded. I am just saying what the chair of the committee has raised is fine. But the only problem is that the law, Masters in Law, does not make sense in this thing. So it should be removed. But it should not be extended to any other relevant degree. It should not be that at all. So I was talking to
Well-
Honorable Tandaza and not Honorable Pokose.
Well, you have made your point. I think it concerns both of them. The Honorable Jackson The Honorable Jackson Lekumontare, member
Yes.
for Samburu East.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I think concerning the qualification, I don't think it is necessary to cover that master's degree because when somebody has a bachelor's degree, is capable of leading that organization. So I think let us maintain that having a master's is an added advantage. It will help. Thank you, Chair.
The Honorable Kasim Tandaza, you had already spoken, and the Honorable Dr. Mutunga. Not on this one. Okay, 1 minute. We start with the Tandaza. Honorable Tandaza.
Chair, the reason why I'm saying it should be not any other, but a relevant degree is because sometimes the same training that you get at a particular university can be given a different name, but actually the training is the same. We realize even when it comes to my field of engineering, there are those who will do mechanical, metallurgy, fabrication, and whatever. Those are still degrees which can be issued by another, especially when you go outside the country. So when you specify that it has to be law the way we know law, or forestry, it's possible that a student in a foreign country can study the same units in forestry, but be awarded a different degree. That
you.
should also be put into consideration.
Thank you.
Chair, I would like to go by what the chair is proposing, because I think the committee had done some scoping, and that scoping to me is sufficient. If we open it too much and we are looking for a CEO, Honorable Chair, I think it is not right. We cannot look for a CEO who has any other. There must be specific qualifications, and the minimum academic qualification should be a master's degree. They are going to, Kenyans are very educated. We are going to have juniors who have PhDs, and therefore they are not able to manage them. So, Chair, let's take over the chair.
Kenyans are very educated, and the man speaking to you holds a PhD. Chair, you have the last one on this.
Honorable Chair, I want to encourage the members to allow this to go as it is. And remember, this is the CCF, it's the CEO. We are not talking about the board members. And what eventually this will do, if we put any other, is basically, it is as good as not putting anything. You are giving the CS discretion to choose whatever he decides. And therefore, if we put that line, it will be equivalent to scrapping everything. And for the information to the members, actually the current requirements for education requirement for the director, Kefri, is a PhD. And therefore, and in any case, even the ones who are serving there and who have served before in this position, they are actually master's holders. So with the sensitivity of some of these areas, and which also include a lot of research, I think it is only fair the CEO understands the field that he is in. I agree, there could be some areas that is an overkill, is additions. But let us also try to specify the areas of competence for our CEOs.
Thank you. Honorable members, I put the question that the new clause 5B be now read a second time. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? There is have it. I now propose the question, which is that the new clause 5B be part of the bill. I now put the question that clause 5B be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of contrary opinion say nay? There is have it.
New clause 16A.
Chair, move the second reading of new clause 16A.
Honorable Chair, I beg to move that the bill be amended by inserting the following new clause immediately after clause 16 as appears on the order paper. Honorable Chair, this particular amendment seeks to provide for transitional provision for the persons authorized by CS to operate as timber graders. The Act allows the newly created Office of the Secretary for Forest Regulation to license timber graders and other professionals. We just want to ensure that when this law comes into operationalization, the already existing timber graders and other professionals who are already licensed are recognized.
Thank you very much, Chair. I now propose the question, which is that new clause 16A be now read a second time. Yes, I see Honorable Rahim, you have interest in this?
Yes, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, are there going to be new timber traders and valuers for that matter? But, Madam Chair, we have an issue in this country regarding timber traders. They have emptied all our forests and they're continuing. We were speaking to the PS yesterday as well, Imenti Forest and all the other forests within my locality and Bori, they are empty, and because of timber traders. So is there a fallback position where even if they were there, this bill is saying they should continue doing it like a transition, but they need to be checked as well because they have decimated the forest without planting new forests. So they should only be doing, it should not just transit, just blanket. There should be something in place that they would be done new vetting before they are licensed, because this is going on to say they will be transiting from the old to the new without any issue. But my suggestion to the chair, I don't know if they have looked at it, that they should not just transit the way it has been stated, but there should be vetting as well again. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Chair. Before we put the question, would you like to comment?
Yes, please. Just a clarification. Timber graders are not the ones responsible for the mess we are seeing in our forests. A timber grader is basically a person who has skills to know what quality is this particular timber and this other particular timber, so that he can advise Kenyans, because this is now the future. It has not been happening really, at least not to the scale that we want. We want Kenyans to know, before you buy timber, you must know what quality. Because people are buying, you pay for a similar amount, but you are given a different quality. So the law says now that for our government forests, public forests, community forests, private forests, before you sell any timber, you must state what quality it is, and therefore what will happen is that graders are going to be licensed. Kenyans are going to be licensed all over to do the grading. Now, the issue you are raising about the cutting down of trees, the people who are responsible, at least for the public forest, is KFS. Because KFS makes A in A out of this forest. They are the ones cutting down trees to sell. Now, how do we stop them? They are usually stopped once in a while through a moratorium that is either placed by this House or placed by the Cabinet. And we are already in those discussions, because if we must be serious with the planting of the 15 billion trees, we can't then seem reckless in cutting down the same trees that we want to plant.
Thank you very much. I think the chair has clarified very well. Honorable members, I now put the question, which is that new clause 16A be now read a second time. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have contrary opinion say nay? There is have it. I now propose the question that new clause 16A be part of the bill. I now put the question that new clause 16A be part of the bill? Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
New clause 20A.
Chair, move second reading for new clause 20A.
Honorable Chair, I beg to move that the new clause 20A be now read for second time. Honorable Chair, I move that the bill be amended by inserting the following new clause immediately after clause 20A as appears on the order paper. Honorable Chair, this amendment seeks to ensure that the CCF submits to the Secretary of Forest Regulation on quarterly basis copies of registers, forest management and conservation activities, including licenses issued under this Act. As you know, the Office of the Secretary of Forest Regulation that we have created with this we propose to create under these new amendments is supposed to be now the regulator for KFS and KFRI. And therefore, they can only regulate if they also are custodians of the records. And therefore, I beg to move, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I propose the question, which is that new clause 20A be now read a second time. Honorable Rahim.
I agree with the Chair that there should be a quarterly report, Madam Chair, and the previous, what we passed on 20, which 20D, which talked about the carbon reduced. Madam Chair, as a country, I want the Chair to implore on the Chair that we should follow, because our carbon credits are not getting the dues that we should be getting. And I think with this, if it is possible, we can even be told a quarterly report of how much carbon credits do we get as a country and what are we doing about it. Because as I understand, the carbon credits at the moment, we're not getting enough of the funds for it and nobody is paying up for it. So if in the quarterly reports, we could get how much carbon have we got in this country and how are we being compensated for that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I would like to proceed. Chair, I would like to proceed. Okay. So I propose the question, which is that new clause. I put the question, which is that new clause 20A be now read a second time. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I propose the question that new clause 20A be part of the bill. I do not see any interest, so I put the question that new clause 20A be part of the bill. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 2.
I propose the question that clause 2 be part of the bill. Chairman?
Honorable Chair, I beg to move that clause 2 of the bill be amended as appears on the order paper. Honorable Chair, this amendment seeks to do 4 things. 1 is to delete the erroneous definition of indigenous trees, that they are mangroves and bamboos, which is incorrect. 2, also delete terms that have been used, to delete definitions that have been defined but not used anywhere in the bill. 3, also define terms that have been used in the bill but not defined. And 4, expand the definition of ecosystem services. Thank you, Chair.
I propose the question that clause 2 be amended as proposed by the Chair. I do not see any interest in this, so I now put the question that clause 2 be amended as proposed by the Chair. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 2 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Title.
I propose the question that the title be the title of the bill. There be no amendment. I now put the question that the title be the title of the bill. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 1.
I propose the question that clause 1 be part of the bill. There be no amendment. I put the question that clause 1 be part of the bill. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Honorable members, we have come to the end of that bill, and I would like to call upon the mover. The mover is the majority leader, the Honorable Naomi Wako.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the Forest Conservation and Management Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 38 of 2025, and its approval thereof with amendments.
Thank you. I put the question, which is that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the Forest Conservation and Management Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 38 of 2025, and its approval with amendments. As many as have that opinion say aye. As many as have a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Honorable members, we are moving to the next bill, which is the Crops Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 8 of 2023, by the Honorable Tandaza Sawa. It's a very short bill, so kindly stay with us.
Thank you, Chair.
We have not started. We'll call you shortly.
Oh, I have the mic.
Clause 2.
I propose the question that clause 2 be part of the bill. The Honorable Tandaza.
Thank you, Chair. In further consultation with the Chairman, Agriculture, Dr. Mutunga, who is with me here, we have consulted that for now, this bill be set aside because we need further consultation. Okay. Chair.
Chairman, would you like to talk about that? What is your comment on that, on what has been raised by the Honorable Tandaza?
Honorable Chair, we have reconsidered as a committee our amendments, and the committee wishes to withdraw the amendments and have the bill pass as it were. Chair, I can explain what it is all about. Chair, can I explain? Yeah, Chair, this particular amendment comes in to ensure that this particular crop is scheduled. The crop was scheduled through a gazette notice by the CS. The honorable member believes that the CS can still issue a gazette notice to the gazette. But if you have a legislative provision, then it means we have the crop gazetted for posterity. So, Honorable Chair, the committee believes that we can go that direction, so we withdraw our amendments.
So then, in that case, we will have to go step by step. You go dropping all amendments. Yeah. So we can start. We had already called. The clerk had already called, so you may proceed. The Honorable. I now propose the question, which is that clause 2 be amended as proposed by the Honorable by the Chairman. It is now by the Chairman.
Yeah, Honorable Chair, the committee wishes to withdraw the amendment.
Dropped. Thank you. Well, in that case, I now put the question, which is that clause 2 be part of the bill? Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Title.
I propose the question that the title be the title of the bill. There be no amendment. I now put the question that the title be the title of the bill. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 1.
I propose the question that clause 1 be part of the bill. Chairman?
Honorable Chair, the committee still withdraws clause 1, the amendments on clause 1, so that the original version of the bill remains.
Thank you. I now propose the question that clause 1 be amended as proposed by the chair. I now put the question that clause 1 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as have of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Honorable members, it is now, the effect is as per what has been raised by the chair, agriculture. Mover?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, Speaker, I beg to report that I beg to move that the House do agree with the committee on the said report. I also request Honorable Kawaya seems to be consulting.
No, what I want you to do, just read what you have on that document, just the first part, the first paragraph. Start the part where it indicates that I beg to move, that part, just exactly as it is. You can approach it. Please approach the table.
Yes. Mike, thank you. Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chairperson, Chair, I beg to move that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the Crops Amendment Bill, Bill number 8 of 2023, and its approval thereof without amendments. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Tandaza. Thank you very much. Honorable members, I put the question, which is that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the Crops Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 8 of 2023, and its approval thereof without amendments. As many as have that opinion say aye. Aye. As many as have a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Honorable members, we are moving to the next bill. Thank you for your patience. Good, how are you? Okay, honorable members, our next bill is the Agricultural and Livestock Extension Services Bill, Senate Bill number 12 of 2022. I can see that the chair would like to say something. Chair Agriculture, Dr. Mutunga.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, I am the co-sponsor of this bill, having originated from Senate, and we had agreed as a committee that another member moves the amendments of the committee. Being the chair and the sponsor, Honorable Speaker, it would not be right for me to move, and the member is out of the country. I pray that, Honorable Chair, we step down this bill to the next time when the member is available to move, so that we may do the right thing.
Very well. So, honorable members, the Agriculture and Livestock Extension Services Bill, Senate Bill number 12 of 2022 is hereby deferred to the next time when it will be scheduled by the House Business Committee. Honorable members, we also have the next bill, which is the Kenya Sign Language Bill, Senate Bill number 9 of 2023. Honorable members, Honorable Mili and Honorable Umi, both of them are not in the House, so also this bill is hereby deferred to another time when it will be scheduled by the House Business Committee.
Honorable members, Madam Speaker.
Chairperson report.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole House has considered the Forest Conservation and Management Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 38 of 2025, and approved the same with amendments. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Okay, mover of the bill.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. I also request Honorable Kiumburi to second the motion for agreement with the report of the Committee of the Whole House.
Thank you, Chair. I second.
Honorable members, I propose the question, which is that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. Yeah, we'll put the question at a later time. Next. Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to report to that the Committee of the Whole House has considered the Crops Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 8 of 2023, and approved the same without amendments. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Mover.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. I also request Honorable Len Mengit to second the motion for agreement with the report of the Committee of the Whole House. Thank you.
Honorable Speaker, I second. Thank you.
Honorable members, I propose a question which is that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. And we shall defer the putting of the question. Next order. Next order.
Order number 13, the Penal Code Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 53 of 2024, second reading.
Honorable Watch, is he here? Okay, we jump to the next one. He's not present.
Order number 13, motion, sustainable management and valorization of organic waste from avocado processing.
Honorable Mary Wamaua, she's not present. And this has been on the order paper for very many occasions. Maybe it's just better to drop it out because they've not been here many of the times. Okay, next order.
Order number 15, the National Transport and Safety Authority Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 36 of 2023, second reading.
Okay, next order. Honorable Didimas Baraza is not here either.
Order number 16, the Employment Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 62 of 2023, second reading.
Next order.
Order number 17, motion, mandatory guidance and counseling program in all primary and secondary schools in Kenya.
Honorable Rehab Mukami, member for Nyeri, not present. Next order.
Order number 18, motion, policy to develop a structured engagement of National Youth Service graduates as security officers in government institutions.
Honorable Gertrude Bayu, also not present. Yes.
Honorable Speaker, we all know very well that Wednesday morning is set aside for members, for private members' bill motions, and it is unfortunate when we have over 5-8 motions or bills that are in the order papers and honorable members are not here. So as we go on recess, I think House Business Committee should decide on what to do on this because it has become a tradition for us to miss members, especially on Wednesday mornings. Thank you.
I think that's well noted. Yes, Honorable Nyamai.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I would like to really agree with the leader, the Honorable Naomi Wako, because there before we used to have problems that the House Business Committee was not putting into the schedule private members' bills. But now a lot of effort has been put. We have seen so many private members' bills being listed for Wednesday morning. But I think politics is becoming very hot, and most members seem to be elsewhere, maybe also in committee work. So I think it is important for members who are private members' bills to take advantage of the fact of the goodwill of the House Business Committee. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Next order.
Order number 19, the Micro and Small Enterprises Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 25 of 2025, second reading.
Honorable members, well, I'd just like to note that the Honorable Mukunji Gitonga, Member of Parliament, is not in the House at the moment. So order number 19 is hereby deferred.
Order number 20, the Pensions Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 25 of 2024, second reading.
The Honorable Kasim Tandaza.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to support the Pensions Amendment Bill 2024, which is both timely and necessary in addressing the welfare of our retired public servants.
Oh, Honorable Tandaza, you are
Yes.
moving, You are moving this, the Pensions Amendment Bill,
yes.
National Assembly Bill number 25, is the one that you're moving. Be now read a second time.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. I arise to then move the bill to be read a second time, Honorable Speaker. I rise to beg that the bill be read a second time.
Are you able to read it as it is in the order paper? I beg to move that the Pensions Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill, number 25 of 2024, be now read a second time. Then you proceed.
Where is the order paper? See the order paper. What is the order paper? Just one. It is not read, but it's not. No, this one doesn't have. Okay. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I arise to that the Pensions Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 25 of 2024, be read a second time. Honorable Speaker, I rise to support the Pensions Amendment Bill 2024, which is both timely and necessary in addressing the welfare of our retired public servants. This bill seeks to respond to the long-standing concerns regarding the erosion of pension value due to inflation and the inequities that arise from outdated methods of pension computation. Honorable Speaker, the primary objective of this bill is to introduce an automatic cost of living adjustment to pensions so as to ensure that retirees are protected from the adverse effects of inflation. By linking pension adjustment to the consumer price index as determined by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, the bill guarantees that pensions will retain their purchasing power over time. Additionally, the bill proposes to reform the pension calculation formula by pegging pension benefits on the most current salary applicable to a given job group, thereby addressing disparities affecting those who retired many years ago under lower salary scales. Honorable Speaker, the bill further amends Section 3 of the Pensions Act, Cap 189, to provide for the automatic adjustment of pensions based on inflation, which such adjustments to be published in the Gazette by the Cabinet Secretary. This is a critical step towards ensuring transparency and predictability in management of pensions. Honorable Speaker, the justification for this bill cannot be overstated. The rising cost of living continues to disproportionately affect retirees, many of whom rely solely on their pensions to meet basic needs such as healthcare, food, and housing. The current system has, unfortunately, disadvantaged earlier retirees whose pensions are based on outdated salary structures, thereby undermining the principle of equity and fairness. The bill, therefore, seeks to restore dignity to our retired public servants who have dedicated their lives to serving this nation. Honorable Speaker, the benefits of this bill are clear. It will enhance financial security and predictability for retirees, reduce their dependence on family supports or social assistance programs, and improve morale within the public service by assuring serving officers that their retirement benefits will be protected. Moreover, it aligns Kenya's pension framework with global best practices where pensions are often indexed to inflation. Honorable Speaker, I strongly support this bill. It is important for this House to also consider issues of fiscal sustainability. The government must ensure that adequate budgetary provisions are made to meet the increased pension on obligation that will arise from these reforms. There is also need to reflect on whether the benefits of this bill should extend to existing retirees and not only those retiring after its commencement. Further, a clear and transparent implementation framework will be necessary, particularly with regard to the frequency of the adjustments and the publication of the applicable indexes. Honorable Speaker, in conclusion, the bill represents a progressive and necessary reform that strengthens our pension system and safeguards the welfare of retirees. It ensures retirement does not become a period of financial hardship, but one of dignity and security. I therefore urge this Honorable House to support the Pensions Amendment Bill 2024. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And I therefore ask Dr. Mutunga to second.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable Tandaza. Honorable Dr. Mutunga.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to second the amendment brought by the Honorable Member for Matuga, the Honorable Tandansa, on Pensions Act Cap 189. Honorable Speaker, the Pensions Act as it is right now, and as the computation formula remains, the retirees do get their pensions based on the day or they left the service. Honorable Speaker, rarely will you find these benefits being paid 1 year or 2 years, up to 5 years down the line. The retirees live in this country, such circumstances are changing, and the government and even private sector is improving on the terms of service for the employees. Honorable Speaker, when we base our calculation of the pension on the date that the employee left service, Honorable Speaker, we disadvantage the employees because they are living today, they are living in this country, and many things are changing. Honorable Speaker, the cost of living is changing, the circumstances around are changing, the cost of doing business is changing, everything is changing, and rarely do you find the cost reducing, the cost is always increasing. So fixing this repayment to the time that the retirees left disadvantages them a lot because they are still alive and they have obligations. Honorable Speaker, when people retire, in most cases are not prepared or they have not fully invested to be able to take care of their circumstances. And if we really pay them based on the day they left, then we disadvantage them the more. We put them into more difficult situations because we do not even release the pension early enough for them to invest and therefore to be able to benefit from the changes by the day. Honorable Speaker, since we need to treat these Kenyans fairly, and we need to bring them up, give them their money which should be commensurate to the circumstances that they are living in today, I see this amendment as very practical and very realistic and logical, in the sense that the consumer index has changed. If we do not link their money available to the consumer index, then we make a mistake. Honourable Speaker, the cost of living has increased. If we do not take that into account, then we disadvantage them. Honourable Speaker, we need to address the disparities brought by the many changing circumstances in the environment. For instance, at this point in time, there is war in the Middle East, and there is war basically in the Middle East. And this war is affecting circumstances or the economic situations of different parts of the country. If we pay our pensioners based on what happened in 2000 or 2013 or 2020, 23 or 24, when there was no war, then Honourable Speaker will disadvantage them. That is why I find this amendment very, very useful. And therefore, I support that the Pensions Act, Cap 189, be amended as proposed by the member for Matuga, the Honourable Tandasa. Honourable Speaker, I support. I second.
Honourable members, I now propose the question, which is that the Pensions Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 25 of 2024, be now read a second time. Before we go to debate, I would like to take this opportunity, honourable members, to welcome our guests seated in the public gallery this morning, Kenyatta University Students Association, 21st Congress members from Roysambu constituency, Nairobi County. You are welcome to the National Assembly to observe the proceedings of the House. Before we go to the motion, I would like to give a chance to the Honorable Mathenge to lay a paper.
Madam Speaker, I wish to lay on the table the following paper. Today, Wednesday, 29th April 2026, the report of the Committee on National Cohesion and Equal Opportunity on the approval hearing of the nominees for appointment as chairperson and members of the National Cohesion and Integration Commission.
You may go ahead. I'll give you a chance also. Please continue to give a notice of motion.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to give a notice of motion that, taking into consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on National Cohesion and Equal Opportunity in its report on the approval hearing of nominees for appointment as chairperson and members of the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, laid on the table of the House today, Wednesday, 29th April 2026, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 252B of the Constitution and Section 3 and 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, Cap 7F, this House approves the appointment of the following persons as chairperson and members of the National Cohesion and Integration Commission. Dr. Kefa Nyamwea Omai, chairperson. Ms. Josephine Kirion Eragai, member. Mr. Joseph K. Nguyo, member. Mr. Jackson Swadi Kedogo, member. Dr. Samuel Mwachiro Mwawasi, member. Ms. Irene Shepoisho Turel, HSC, member. Mr. Hassan Bilu Ahmed, member. Ms. Jelusa Mwadime Michael, member. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mathenge. Now, honorable members, we are back to the debate on the Pensions Amendment Bill? And I do not see any interest. Honorable Koimburi, do you have your card? I'm sorry, we are not able to view you. I can see your hand, you lifting up your hand. Are you saying you have interest in this pensions bill?
No,
Okay.
it's about this for Madenge.
That one will come later. So, Honorable Koimburi, once he gives the notice of motion, the motion will come later in the afternoon. So you can ensure that you're in the House in the afternoon if you want to debate on that report of the committee. Member for Game, you may proceed.
Madam Speaker, I just want a small interlude to welcome the students from Kenyatta University. I was in Kenyatta University in 1990, graduated then, and you can see I'm in Parliament. So this should be an inspiration for you students at KU, that you can do it the way Elisha Odhiambo has made it. And I'm sure in the future, there must be a Kenyatta alumni who will become the president of the Republic of Kenya. And most likely that is me. Thank you.
There have been no interest. I'd like to give you a chance to reply. You are the mover. You can go to your position and do
that. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I would take this opportunity to reply and thank the House that none has really opposed this bill. As we had initially said, to me, this is a bill that will address so many gaps that exist right now, that somebody could have contributed in his pension scheme. That time, it was deducted, say, 100 shillings, but 100 shillings would buy 2 liters of petrol. Now, his pension was pegged to the 100 shillings which he was contributing, which could buy 2 liters of petrol. Now, 100 shillings cannot even buy a half a liter of petrol. But that is what it is pegged on. And that's where the difficulties come in. This also would address the other bigger problem. It also happens that when a civil servant is about to retire, that's the time now he starts thinking that I'll no longer be having a salary. How am I going to live? Definitely, he'll be tempted to see how much he can actually get out of his office. In terms of corruption, these are the times when you find that expenditures, unnecessary trips, which initially they were not part of the budget, what he can grab just to make sure that by the time he retires, he can still be able to drive his car. So apart from just making this bill giving a retiree a decent living, it would also actually cushion an employee that you don't really have to steal, you don't really have to grab. What you'll be getting after your retirement can still take care of you. That is what this bill is talking about. And if passed as it is for all of us, because at one point, unless you die early, and nobody prays to die early, you are going to retire, and when you retire, you will expect to live a decent life, and you should be able to live a decent life from the work that you've been doing diligently, without corruption, with all your cautions, and happily thereafter. So, Honorable Speaker, I reply.
Honorable members, I'll defer putting of the question to a later time. Next order.
Order number 21, motion, formulation of a policy on power subsidies for export-oriented agricultural production.
Honorable members, that order number 21 is by the Honorable Gathoni wa Mushomba, who is not in the House this afternoon, so it is hereby deferred. Next order.
Order number 22, motion, motion to outlaw discriminatory practices in learning institutions that impede access to basic education.
The Honorable Duncan Madenge.
Sorry. Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, kindly guide me on the direction.
Please approach the table. Well, the fact is that you are the mover of this motion number 22, so you can make a decision. If you are not ready, we'll advise you on what to do. Okay, you are ready? You may proceed.
Honorable Speaker, Madam Speaker, education in this country, under the Basic Education Act, is mandatory and compulsory.
Before you debate, I'll ask you to move. You move it as it is in the order paper. This is your motion.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move the motion. I beg to move the motion to outlaw discriminatory practices in learning institutions that impede access to basic education. Honorable Speaker, aware that Article 53(1)(b) of the Constitution guarantees every child the right to free and compulsory basic education, and Article 21(2) obligates the state to take legislative and policy measures to ensure the progressive realization of socio-economic rights, which include the right to education under Article 43(1)(f). Further aware that the Basic Education Act, Cap 211, obligates the state and school administrators to ensure equitable access, retention, and completion in basic education, and prohibits administrative barriers that exclude learners. Noting that the Children Act, Cap 141, requires the best interest of the child to be the primary consideration in actions concerning children, including in education. Recognizing that Kenya's international and regional obligations under Article 2 and 28 of the United Nations Convention to the Rights of the Child, Article 13 of the African Charter on the Rights and Welfare of the Child, and the United Nations Education, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO Convention against discrimination in education, which requires states to ensure education is accessible, non-discriminatory, and free from economic and social barriers. Concerned that certain designated outlets, that certain administrative practices in schools, particularly compulsory sourcing of uniforms from designated outlets, exclusion of learners for inability to pay school feeding programs, remedial class charges, all other non-statutory levies have the effect of imposing economic and administrative barriers, and in some instances, creating possible avenues for abuse of office and improper financial benefit. Now, therefore, this House resolves that, 1, all basic education institutions shall allow purchase of school uniforms from the open market, as long as they generally conform to the school design and standards, and further, that any attempt to monopolize, control, or otherwise influence the supply of uniforms is unlawful. 2, all learners shall have uninterrupted access to school regardless of inability to pay for school feeding programs, remedial charges, development levies, or any other charges not expressly provided for under the Basic Education Act or any other regulation approved by the Cabinet Secretary responsible for education. 3, the Cabinet Secretary for Education, in consultation with the Teachers Service Commission, shall within 90 days develop a comprehensive regulatory and enforcement framework, including a monitoring mechanisms, a complaints and redress system for parents and learners, as well as a nationwide public awareness program to ensure full compliance. And 3 and 4, provide that any person or institution, action or policy that violates this resolution shall be subject to the Education Act, the Children's Act, and the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission Act. Madam Speaker, emanating from the foregoing, it is clear that both our Constitution and our nation's commitments under international treaties, the Children's Act, and the Basic Education Act, every Kenyan child has the right, and it is not just the right, it is also compulsory for a child to attend school uninterrupted. This is the right of every Kenyan child, irrespective of the ability or the inability of economic ability or inability of their parents. Honorable Speaker, today we send out our chiefs to go to the villages and pick children who are not in school, take them to school, and actually take legal action against their parents. But when a child has been sent home because they do not have a uniform, what are we saying to this child? When a child is sent out of class because on that day their parent did not have 20 shillings to pay for school fees, for lunch feeding program, and unfortunately the child is sent away from school in the morning, not during lunch hour. What are we telling this child? We are discriminating against this child. We are punishing them because their parent apparently is poor. We are affecting their self-esteem. Bullying we are subjecting this child to bullying by other students on account of poverty. we are permanently affecting the emotional state of this child. Yet, we have provided in the Constitution that every child has a right to education. Yet, we have provided under the Basic Education Act that education in this country is compulsory. And therefore, Madam Speaker, it is time for this House to pronounce itself on the economic barriers and other barriers that have been placed in front of the Kenyan child, denying them a constitutional right, a legal right, an obligation under the UN conventions, and the African Charter on the Right of the Child. Madam Speaker, when schools insist that you can only attend this school because you you can only attend this school after purchasing the uniform from that school, how competitive is the pricing of that uniform? Why do we allow our schools to be converted into avenues perpetuating the interest of cartels in the uniforms industry in this country? Why do we convert our learning institutions into trading centers to push personal economic interest and personal gain? Madam Speaker, our students and their parents are told, unless you go and purchase uniforms from school distributor XYZ, your uniform is not accepted. Madam Speaker, you and I had a local foodie in the village who made your uniform. It was acceptable during that time. How come today it is not acceptable? Madam Speaker, we have a huge industry in Nairobi, Uhuru Market, where ordinary men and women, ordinary hustlers, make uniforms in this country at very affordable prices. That those uniforms are not acceptable in our schools. Yet we want to speak about technical skills, self-employment for our young people, and then immediately we place a barrier that your goods are not good enough for utilization by your own child. Madam Speaker, how can a tailor who makes uniforms, who makes clothes for other people, not be good enough to make a uniform for their own child in this country? Madam Speaker, it is these barriers that I seek to have removed. Madam Speaker, a parent who cannot afford a meal for their child, why should that child be punished by being excluded from class and from school? Feeding programs are supposed to be compassionate. They cannot be punishment. They cannot be a source of exclusion. They cannot be a source of discrimination. Yet we want to produce a just society, and a society that is giving the lowest child in this country an opportunity to thrive. Education is the only equalizer for our children. How do we confine some children to a lack of education? Because they come from the slums of Wetemere in Nyeri town, because they come from Korogosho, because they come from Kibera, because they come from Mukuru Kwajenga, because they come from Nyalenda. How can we? And Gashororo in Juja thicker and thicker. Madam Speaker, these issues, we must bring them to an end. And this has nothing to do with the political persuasion or the political party or the political inclination of the different members of this House. It is the welfare of the Kenyan child. And therefore, Madam Speaker, I want to beg my colleagues that we have had these conversations in this House for too long. We bring the CS for education here. He stands and says that this is the position of the ministry. But, Madam Speaker, this week, our children are going back to school for second term. There are children, unfortunately, who will be sent back by school principals because their uniform apparently has faded, because apparently the parent has not paid money for lunch. They report in the morning, lunch is 6 hours later, but the child is sent home at 8 o'clock in the morning, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to plead with this House that it is time for us to speak for the Kenyan child. Madam Speaker, I want to plead with my colleagues that learning in our schools is supposed to happen between 8 o'clock and 5 o'clock or 4:30. The curriculum, if it cannot be covered within the normal learning hours, let us reduce the workload so that we can eliminate the practice of remedial lessons. A child is sent home because their parent could not pay remedial lesson. They stay home for a week. The remedial lessons are offered. Eventually, the parent has to pay the entire fees. This child is not offered, given an opportunity to be taught for the remedial lessons that were covered. A child is sent home on account of lunch feeding program, stays home for 2 weeks. When eventually the parent pays, the child comes back. They do not consume the food for the 2 weeks they were out of school. These practices, Madam Speaker, burden my heart. They disturb my conscience. And therefore, honorable members, today I request you that we stand for that parent who today woke up in the morning, went to look for kibarua in a construction site, but they did not get, but their child deserves to access education uninterrupted. Madam Speaker, I want to speak for the mamafua who woke up in this morning, went around our residences, did not get a job, but their child deserves an education. I want to speak for the border rider, Madam Speaker, who since morning, on account of the rain in Nairobi, has not been able to carry one passenger, yet their child deserves an education. Madam Speaker, I want to speak for the children of Kitui, where there has been conflict and there has been death. The livelihoods in their rural community has been disrupted. Their children still need education. I want to speak for the child of the pastoralists whose animals were stolen last night. The entire income of that household taken away because of cattle rustlers. But their children still deserve an education. Madam Speaker, I want to speak for the border rider who had an accident last evening. Their border is no longer on the road. They are confined to a hospital bed, yet their children deserve an education. Madam Speaker, the examples are endless. Madam Speaker, I want to speak for the parents who have cancer, confined to hospital beds. They can no longer actively go to gainful employment, but their children deserve an education. Madam Speaker, these examples are heart-wrenching. It is time that this House started passing legislation and regulations that not only impose punishment on the ordinary people, but they go right into the center of the realization of the rights that we have given to our people, to our children, in the Constitution, in our international commitments, and other statutes. Madam Speaker, I had long nights wondering whether we should abolish uniforms. But the uniform, when we look at our life in Nyeri town, illicit brews are being sold and manufactured in Nyeri town center.
Who is shouting there? Member for Kisumu, I think you wait for your time. I heard a loud yes. So you are the one who is out of order. You're out of order. I'll give you a chance to speak.
So, Madam Speaker, I realized that the uniform is a tool also for protecting our children. Today, we have young children being subjected to GBV, including rape and murder. Yet they are in uniforms. Suppose they weren't. And on account of that, Madam Speaker, I was convinced beyond doubt that the uniform remains to be an important tool in our society and in the education and in the protection of our children. The question, therefore, is how to ensure it does not become a barrier. A good thing does not have negative and intended consequences that result in discrimination, in disenfranchisement, and designing our children into the cycle of poverty, looking at the backgrounds from where they come from. Madam Speaker, allow me to request the Honorable Koibori, MP Juja, to second.
Member for Juja, Honorable Koimburi.
I do second.
Please move to the next mic.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I second the motion.
I don't need to propose anything. Okay, honorable members. I now propose that aware that agriculture I take this again, honorable members. I propose that aware that Article 53(1)(b) of the Constitution guarantees every child the right to free and compulsory basic education, and Article 21(2) obligates the state to take legislative and policy measures to ensure progressive realization of socio-economic rights, which include the right to education, and Article 43(1)(f). Further aware that the Basic Education Act, Cap 211, obligates the state and school administrators to ensure equitable access, retention, and completion in basic education, and prohibits administrative barriers that exclude learners, noting that the Children Act, Cap 141, requires the best interest of the child to be put to be the primary consideration in all actions considering children, including in education, recognizing Kenya's international and regional obligations under Article 2 and 28 of the United Nations on the Rights of the Child, Article 13 of the International Convention on the Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights, Article 11 of the African Charter on the Rights and Welfare of the Child, and the United Educational, Scientific, Cultural, and Organization UNESCO Convention Against Discrimination in Education, which requires states to ensure education is accessible, non-discriminatory, and free from economic or social barriers, concerned that certain administrative practices in schools, particularly compulsory sourcing of uniforms from designated outlets, exclusion of learners for inability to pay school feeding programs, remedial classes, charges, or other non-statutory levies have the effect of imposing economic and administrative barriers, in some instances creating possible avenues for abuse of office and improper financial benefit. Now, therefore, this House resolves that 1, all basic education institutions shall allow purchase of school uniforms from the open market, as long as they generally conform to the school design and standards, and further, that any attempt to monopolize, control, or otherwise influence the supply of school uniforms is unlawful. 2, all learners shall have uninterrupted access to school regardless of inability to pay school fees, feeding programs, remedial charges, development levies, or any other charges not expressly provided for under the Basic Education Act or any other regulation approved by the Cabinet Secretary responsible for education. 3, the Cabinet Secretary responsible for education, in consultation with the Teacher Service Commission, shall within 90 days, 1, develop a comprehensive regulatory and enforcement framework, including monitoring mechanisms, complaints and redress systems for parents and learners, as well as nationwide public awareness programs to ensure full compliance. And 2, provide that any person or institution, action or policy that violates this resolution shall be subject to disciplinary action under the relevant statutes, including the Teacher Service Commission Act, the Basic Education Act, and the Children's Act, and the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission Act. Honorable members, those who are interested to debate in this can hit the intervention button. I'll start with the Honorable Kasim Tandazama, member for Matuga.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipatia hii fursa. Wacha kwanza nianze kwa kumpatia pongezi Mheshimiwa Madenge kwa kufikiria na kuja na mswada huu ambao kusema kweli unadhalilisha wazazi, unadhalilisha watoto, unadhalilisha viongozi, unadhalilisha serikali. Tunajua kwamba katika mfumo wetu wa elimu ni kwamba masomo ya msingi ni bure. Kuanzia ile shule ya msingi ambayo sasa wanasema inaanzia grade ya 1 mpaka ya 6, kisha baadaye kuna ile ya 7, ya 8 na ya 9. Serikali inatoa ruzuku kwa watoto hawa ambayo inatakikana iwe ndio imesimamia yale masomo yao. La kushangaza kama Mheshimiwa Madenge alivyozungumza ni kwamba licha ya kuwa pesa hizi hufika mashule hata ijapo kuchelewa, lakini bado huwa zinafika, kamati za shule pamoja na mwalimu mkuu, kwa sababu, na hili nitalizungumza, ya ufisadi, kwa sababu hutaka fedha za ziada. Zile zinazoletwa na serikali huwa zinakuja kwa kutumia maalum, kama ni kulipia stima, kama ni kulipia mishahara kidogo, kama ni kununua vifaa, kila pesa inakuja na kiwango chake. Lakini kwa sababu wao wanahitaji fedha zaidi, aidha za kutembelea katika shughuli zingine ambazo sio ratiba ya kiserikali, basi huweka hizi pesa zingine za watu walipe, ambazo ni mzigo mkubwa kwa wazazi, na wazazi wengi hawajimudu. Mimi nikiwa hapa jana, nikiwa kwangu katika maeneo bunge, nimepata watoto wengi sana, kuanzia wale ambao wako katika shule ya msingi, kwa matatizo haya ambayo Mheshimiwa Madenge huu mswada ameweza kuyanukuu, kwamba wamefukuzwa kwa sababu kama alivyotanguliza uniform, na hili swala la haya mavazi yameendelea kuanzia shule ya msingi mpaka shule hizi ambazo ni za sekondari ya chini. Tunajua kwamba anayesoma ni mtoto na mtoto ni akili. Sidhani kama kuna utafiti wowote ambao ulifanywa kwamba ikiwa hujavaa uniform basi akili yako pia nayo haishiki masomo. Sidhani kama kuna utafiti wowote ambao ulishafai kufanywa kwamba mtoto kufanya vizuri ni lazima awe amevaa viatu ndio aweze kufanya vizuri. Mimi nitasema Mheshimiwa Spika kwamba ijapokuwa nilisoma katika zile shule za kimataifa, nilivaa kiatu kwa mara ya kwanza nilipoenda kidato cha kwanza. Nilibeba viatu vyangu katika sanduku nikiwa sina uhakika kama cha mguu wa kulia ni kipi na cha kushoto ni kipi, mpaka nilipopatiwa kwamba sasa naweza kwenda darasani ndio nikavaa, na nilifanya vizuri na ndio maana niko hapa, na wengine na imani walisomea katika mazingira haya. Kama ingekuwa kulikuwa na vikwazo kutoka wakati wetu, sidhani kama wengi wangekuwa wameweza kusoma na kufika kile kiwango ambacho baadhi yetu waliweza kufika. Kwa nini nyakati hizi tunaweza kuwekea wazazi vikwazo na watoto kuwakosesha haki yao ya kimsingi kwa vitu ambavyo havihusiaji na masomo? Mimi mwenyewe nakumbuka wakati nikiwa katika shule ya msingi, haikuwa karibu na ilikuwa ninaenda, siwezi wakati huo hakukuwa na haya matarajio ya kwamba watu watakula shule. Kwa hivyo mtu alikuwa anaruhusiwa kubeba chakula chake, aidha utakula peke yako ama utagawanyia mwenzako, na kama hauna utakaa na bado utasoma. Ni nani aliyesema kwamba ni lazima mtoto, licha ya kuwa fee ishalipwa, na sisi kama wajumbe hapa tunahakikisha maofisi yetu kupitia ule mfumo wa kulipia basari, watoto wanalipiwa, lakini bado wanafukuzwa eti kwa sababu hawajalipia chakula. Ni nani aliyesema kwamba nina lazima nile kidheri ndio niweze kusoma kemia vizuri ama niweze kusoma biolojia vizuri? Kwa nini wasiruhusiwe kubeba chakula chao, licha ya kwamba pengine hata si lazima? Na lile swali ambalo lilizungumza, ujue wakati huo basari ya CDF tayari ishalipwa, serikali nayo ishatuma pesa zake, lakini bado mtoto yuko nyumbani. Na wakati akiruhusiwa, ukipata zile pesa za ruzuku za kumregesha, hapatiwi nafasi ya kuwa yeye asomeshwe peke yake vile hakuwako. Kwa hivyo hizi pesa zinaenda bure, pesa ya serikali inaenda bure, ile yetu ambayo inapitia katika mfuko wa CDF inaenda kwa mashule na haitumiki. Na ile hali bado itakuwa inadaiwa hakula, hakusoma, ambayo inachangia matokeo mabaya. Na sijui kwa nini zile bodi zinazosimamia shule zinafurahia kwamba watoto wafanye vibaya kwa sababu hawako madarasani, ili mradi tu wao waweze kupata pesa za ziada, ili wakiwa na mikutano waweze kujilipa marupurupu ambayo wanafurahikia. Hili ni jambo la kuhuzunisha, Mheshimiwa Spika, na ndio maana nikasema, Mheshimiwa Madenge, huu ni mswada ambao ni wa kuzungumziwa, lakini ingetaka tuweze kutengeneza sheria, kuwe na mswada maalum wa kutengeneza sheria kwamba endapo kamati, bodi ya shule, kwa sababu yule mwalimu mkuu mara nyingi atasema ni bodi ya shule ndio imesema waregeshwe nyumbani. Endapo bodi ya shule itawaregesha nyumbani watoto na vitu ambavyo sio lazima, basi moja kwa moja ile bodi ya shule iweze kuvujuliwa mbali, kwa sababu haisaidii serikali, haisaidii mzazi, haisaidii mtoto, hata haijisaidii wenyewe katika kuchangia kuwa na matokeo bora. Hili swala la uniform, kwa nini mtu wakati anaenda kama ni kidato cha kwanza ni lazima aende na uniform mpya? Kwa sababu mimi ikiwa na watoto wangu kwa mfano 3 ama 2, mmoja ashamaliza na anaenda shule ile ile, na uniform ya yule mtoto mwingine bado ni nzuri, haijachafuka, haijararuka. Hata kama imeraruka kuna uwezo wa kurekebishwa. Mbona iwe ni lazima kwamba ni lazima awe na uniform mpya, awe na kiatu kipya, ambapo wakati alipomaliza ile tunaita grade la 6 labda alikuwa na kiatu tayari kizuri, na sasa ni miezi 3 tu kitambo aende grade ile nyingine ya 7, lakini analazimishwa sasa awe na kiatu mpya, na bila hicho hawezi kuruhusiwa kwenda. Nakubali na Mheshimiwa Madenge kwamba uniform ni muhimu, lakini ningeomba pia kama Wizara ya Elimu itaweza kutoa ushauri kwamba pia sio lazima kila shule iwe na uniform aina yake. Nina mfano mzuri katika nchi jirani hapa na nitaitaja Tanzania, kwamba katika mfumo wao wa haya mavazi ya shule huwa inaenda kimikoa. Kwa mfano, ikiwa ni bonde la Ufa, uniform za bonde la Ufa, mavazi ya watoto wa shule ya bonde ya Ufa zote zinakuwa aina moja. Itatofautiana na kama pengine ni ukanda wa Pwani, nao wanakuwa na yao. Na hii inarahisisha kwamba endapo nitakuwa na mtoto wangu alikuwa anasoma shule, labda alikuwa anasoma ni Mwamgunga Girls, lakini kwa sababu moja ama nyingine anataka uhamisho, anaenda shule nyingine kama ni Machuga, uniform bado ni hiyo hiyo. Hapo mzazi anakuwa na nafuu, atakuwa na nafuu, hana haja ya kununua uniform nyingine. Kwa hivyo haya ni mawazo ambayo nafikiria tukiendelea mbele katika kusaidia hili janga, hizi gharama za kununua uniform, pia isiwe ni lazima kwamba kila shule ni lazima iwe na sare yake maalum, kutofautiana na shule jirani, ambapo wakati mtu anataka, na hii imefika kwamba kiwango cha kwamba hata katika hizi shule ambazo tulikuwa tunazungumzia, mtu amesomea shule kama ni Vyongwani primary, akafika hiyo grade ya 6, anarudi kwa grade ya 7, shule ni hiyo hiyo, wazazi wetu hawana uwezo, tunawajua sote, lakini bado anatikana abadilishe sare ambayo miezi mitatu tu alikuwa amevaa na haijararuka, lakini aiache aweze kununua nyingine. Ikiwa wazazi, mzazi anao uwezo ni sawa, lakini hili swala la kwa sasa ni lazima mpaka inafikia hicho kiwango ambacho Mheshimiwa Madenge na sisi wahusika inatukera, ni ile kwamba mtoto anaambiwa sasa hawezi soma, ili hali ako na sare ambayo bado anaweza kuitumia, ako na viatu ambayo anaweza kuvitumia, lakini rangi peke yake ndio inatofautisha. Na kama nilivyotanguliza, mavazi hayahusiani kamwe na uwezo wa mtoto kusoma na mtoto kufanya vyema. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipatia fursa, na yunga mkono hoja hii.
Asante. Kabla tujaenda kwa mbunge mwingine, ningependa kuchukua fursa hii kukaribisha wageni wetu ambao wameketi katika public gallery leo. Wanafunzi kutoka ACK Ziwa Senior School, kutoka constituency ya Soi, eneo bunge la Soi katika kaunti ya Uasin Gishu. Mumekaribishwa katika bunge kuendelea kuona vile bunge linavyofanya kazi. Asanteni sana. Nilikuwa nataka kuendelea kwa Kiswahili kama vile Mheshimiwa Tandaza alikuwa ametuanzishia. Na hiyo ningependa kupatia mbunge wa Baringo aweze kukaribisha hao wanafunzi ambao wanatoka upande wa Uasin Gishu.
Asante sana Madam Speaker. Ningependa kuchukua fursa huu kuwakaribisha wanafunzi kutoka Soi.
Na hoja ya nidhamu kutoka kwa Mheshimiwa Tandaza.
Mheshimiwa Speaker, hapa kuna wanafunzi ambao na imani watatahiniwa katika somo lao la Kiswahili, na itakuwa si vizuri wakati mheshimiwa ambaye anawakaribisha anatumia lugha ambayo si sanifu. Sijasikia kwamba anawakaribisha kwa wakati ule alikuwa anazungumza. Kwa hivyo tafadhali upatie wanafunzi Kiswahili sanifu ili wasaidie wakati wa kufanya mitihani yao. Asante.
Mheshimiwa Baringo ameanza kwa kuambia anachukua fursa huu. Sasa sijui hapo ndipo Mheshimiwa Tandaza anasikia amekerwa. Sijui ni fursa hii. Unaweza kuendelea kutoka hapo kwa fursa hii.
Hiyo lingeli ya
endelea mbele sasa.
Asante sana. Nachukua fursa hii kuwakaribisha hapa bungeni, mjisikie mkiwa huru, na niwaeleze kwamba chumba hili ni chumba ambalo inadhaminiwa sana na kila mmoja wetu. Tukiwa hapa bungeni tunashirikiana vizuri, tunafanya kazi ya kutunga sheria ili tuweze kusaidia Wakenya. Na mimi nawaomba mtie bidii kule shuleni na muweke nidhamu mbele, ili kesho pia muweze kuwa na nafasi ya kuwa viongozi kama sisi, na zaidi weka bidii kwa masomo, kwa sababu masomo ndio funguo la maisha. Anashukurani sana, asante Mheshimiwa Spika.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa wa Baringo. Katika screen ninaona jina la Mheshimiwa Ochanda, mbunge wa Bondo. Mheshimiwa Kasim Tandaza atatuambia hii screen itahitaji kwa Kiswahili wakati wa chakula cha mchana.
I believe haitakuwa tofauti na skrini. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this is a very critical motion. Really, really, really critical. There's a lot of disorder in education as a sector generally. More so now when we're talking about the basic education, the amount of disorder is enormous, enormous. And I think schools, individual schools are doing things the way they want. There's no set standards. The way the ministry is running some of these things through circulars, field officers under the Ministry of Education are only waiting for new circulars. They're not implementing anything that they know that can work. So every school is doing their own things. Every school board is doing their own things. So you can imagine what's happening. And the amount of collision between a few people in the boards and the head of institutions is so bad. Yeah? They can sit, decide on certain things, then that becomes like a resolution of a parents' meeting, and then the thing gets to be implemented through across students or pupils. So, Madam Speaker, when you look at what's happening in our schools now, each school is doing their own things. Yeah? Each school is busy doing their own things. And as they are busy doing their own things, those who are suffering are kids of this country. They are children of this country. And they are suffering big. You get in today, schools were opening, I think, since yesterday or so. Immediately they enter into school, they are chased away. They go back to home over small, small things. Whether it's something to do with food, whether it's something to do with sports, it's something to do with I don't know what, it's something to do with basic infrastructure. I know CDF is doing a lot across the country. But there are certain basic things because every CDF is structured. If certain things are required in between the months in the financial year that were not initially planned for, particularly in the constituency, there's a big problem. And all of this ends up with individual children, individual kids in the schools. So Madam Speaker, how I wished, when things can't be corrected, how I wished we said as a country that, no, let the government leave the issues of education for at least one whole year, for the government to reorganize itself, such that there is some order. At the moment, because of instructions that are given left and right, instructions that some are local, instructions that now we are talking about capitation, money goes, of course, late, but even when it goes, then there are instructions that are at the local level. The capitation is divided, is split into all manner of activities. And then apparently some of the monies reaches the school, then are brought backwards to the level of a sub-county or a county. So money is transferred from Nairobi, it goes to the school account, and once it's in the school account, instructions come from the county level or from the sub-county level that again, that part of the money is taken backwards to the sub-county and back to the county. And this may be happening, I want to believe it's not in order, but this may be happening with the knowledge of the Minister of Education, because these are the field officers at the county and sub-county level. You see, we've said this before. Sports, there's no way the amount of money that's given for sports can support the sporting activities from term 1 to third term. And yet, the same amount, part of it it's taken back. So, Madam Speaker, what we are trying to say is this, that there's serious amount of disorder in the management of schools, particularly in the primary and in the secondary schools. The more confusion, you know, this idea of transiting the CBC, we are sitting on this transition for far too long. Because if we are not careful, We are going, like the students or the pupils who are now in grade 10. There are some of them are from schools, in as much as we are talking about pathways, some of them are in schools doing pathways that they didn't interact with at all at grade 7, grade 8, or grade 6. And this is happening. So the amount of disparity, the inequality that we are going to be witnessing or realizing over a period of time is basically because the way we are implementing all these issues that are related to basic education, Madam Speaker. And I want to repeat this, if you are not ready, let the government be firm at one stage, say no, we close the financial year, let parents pay. Let schools, parents pay, and we get to know that we are paying how much for primary, for secondary, and we pay for that entire year. Then the government sits back to reorganize so that they are able to raise money for the subsequent years, so that there's some order in the schools. As at the moment, we have a big problem. And it's a problem that I'm not too sure how it's going to be dealt with, because the field officers are no longer doing their work. They have to wait for circulars. What used to happen in terms of the school inspection, the inspectorate of schools? Initially, this was a very effective kind of unit. But of late, there's something called, quality assurance. They sit in the office. Nobody goes to the field. In fact, if you look at the number of counties, for example, even sub-counties, where the Ministry of Education officials have even a car, it's just countable. And even how they are maintained. So they are unable to move, on one hand. So unless the ministry reorganizes, particularly how their field officers, the inspectorates, how the school inspections are supposed to work out, because this is happening because schools are left on their own. Head teachers are left on their own with a few people of the boards, then they make those kind of funny decisions. So if things are supposed to be reorganized, let there be resources for purposes of sub-county and county inspectorate departments of education, Madam Speaker. Asante sana.
Thank you very much. I'll just follow the order. The Honorable Shakil Shabir, member for Kisumu East.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I support the motion. And Madam Speaker, the way he said yes, and you raised that as out of order, I apologize. It's something that has been haunting us for many a year. So many of my constituents come because they have to go and get uniform and shoes, which are about 3,000 shillings a pair. Even the parents don't have. And then also we ask them why they can't use the old shoes. They say, well, it's not right. They must buy new shoes from Bata or wherever else. In respect of uniform, as much as I expect that there should be a uniform, that basic uniform is an identification that the child is from such and such a school. That uniform should be basic, but neat. And I see no reason why we should not allow mothers at home to sew that uniform for their child, or other single mothers and widows who can sew that uniform for their child. It gives them work. It also gives them the ability to make sure that the uniform is of the regular size. Madam Speaker, I have 4 children who are 6.5 years old. We have never got the right size. Some is big, some are small. So I think this issue of uniforms is very important, that it should be maintained, but there should not be a requirement to get it compulsory from the school or any designated outlets. Madam Speaker, I know for a fact, there's somebody who I know very well in Kisumu. He gets a kickback. He gives a kickback of every uniform, everything that is purchased from that particular institution, and he gives a kickback to the head of the institution. Madam Speaker, there's another one which has not been brought on. 4 reams of newspaper, photocopying paper. What in heaven for? Here you have children, you have to work with 4 reams of photocopying paper. They don't even have a photocopier in the office. So what is the reason for 4 reams of photocopying paper? It is not under the Basic Education Act. Yet those 4 reams must be unopened and must be of certain quality. You know why, Madam Speaker? Because they take them back to the place where they are purchased and get credit for it. Bus levy. My brother, Honorable Duncan Muthenge, maybe forgot. Madam, we go and buy buses for schools. They don't have classrooms, they don't have laboratories. Now then when they realize, some of them, some members of parliament used to pay a basic down payment and then advertise everywhere, we bought 10 buses for 10 schools. And they put maybe 1 million shillings down and 90% is being financed. That means that the school has to pay for the financing of the bus and the running of the bus. I myself have purchased a bus, reluctantly so. Madam Speaker, I was in Prince of Wales. We used to use a lorry. And we sat in that lorry. And when we were not sitting in the lorry, it was going to go and get sand and other things. Now you have these funny buses. Each school wants a bus, whether they have their classroom, they're not. And then, now that they cannot pay, they put a bus levy. A bus levy for every child, whether that child is going to go on the bus or not. And these children are then sent home for bus levy, which they are not going to use, which is totally illegal. They're sent home for food, and they can bring their own food, sometimes better than the one school gives. They also, at my time, and I think my brother Duncan is about not too much younger than me, we used to have Nayo milk, or I was even before that, Kenyatta milk. We had milk in school, then we had Nayo milk. Now they have these organizations who come and say that they are going to give lunch, and you have to come at 50 shillings or 150 shillings, 50 shillings per thing. Some people, the children cannot pay for that lunch. Yet in Nairobi and Dagoretti and other places, I'm told there's a machine that can put 1 million chapatis a day. In Dagoretti, they've been advertising that they have paid for everybody to be eating lunch, which is not probably the truth, not entirely. In other places, I think one of my colleagues very gracefully tells us that he pays for all the food stuff, but yet does not pay other things. So we are worried. In the 10th Parliament, Madam Speaker, one of my colleagues from the Northeastern, instead of putting up classrooms, he was sending food and he was sending water. I don't know, Mr. Speaker, where you were there with the 10th Parliament. It was taken and told by CDF that this was illegal. And he said, listen, my brothers, if I don't send them water and food, they will all die or they will run away. So what is a school for? The school is for educating of the children. So whether we do that in a mobile school run under camels or whatever, it is a school. There is another element, Mr. Speaker. Sir, these quality assessment officers, these field officers, they all want, if you ask for an assessment of a school, they will say, we want allowance, we want to be paid fuel and lunch. Yet, the Ministry of Education has employed them to do exactly that. Mr. Speaker, I don't know in your constituency, but mine, some of these Ministry of Education officers have four-wheel drives better than mine. They are purchased by the ministry. And so they go around with these four-wheel drives in funerals and other places, but not for what it is meant. So now if they want a quality assessment for a school, even if the school wants it, even if the children want it, we have to raise money. Then, Mr. Speaker, teaching is a calling, and we need people to be enthused to teach. Nowadays, we go to schools, Mr. Speaker, and they have what is called a prize-giving day. You know what they give the prize to? It is called encouragement and motivation of teachers. Mr. Speaker, these people are being paid. Some of them under TSC are being paid more than 50,000 shillings a month. Yet, they want motivation and encouragement. If you don't give them motivation and encouragement, they find ways and means of not teaching. Mr. Speaker, sir, not long ago, maybe last year, we came across a school in my constituency where the principal used to leave on Thursday morning or afternoon and say he's a Seventh-day Adventist, and he'd come back on Tuesday. And his vice principal likewise were the same lack of discipline. Likewise, the teachers were the same lack of discipline. And they would literally, the students would come and there was nobody. And out of 120 students, Mr. Speaker, sir, 118 got E's. So I was wondering what is going on. The fact of the issue is that there was an inability, request, they did not want to teach. Now when you go to the school, they say, oh, if you can put a feeding program, the children will come. But the children come with their own food in Kisumu East. We are rural. We can get a cob of maize cheaper than what they can do otherwise. So we have a problem with the teaching system. Encouragement of teachers, or whatever you call it, is illegal. Then there's the issue of head teachers. Mr. Speaker, sir, now as we're talking about basic education, and I know we're talking about...
You can't. Then you could. When you want something, you request for it.
May I request?
Correct. 1 minute.
Thank you, sir. This is very important. Mr. Speaker, thank you for that time. Teachers molest children. Teachers beat up people. Teachers are not responsible. They rape children. Yet when you take it, they are transferred to another school. So I think the TSC has a responsibility as well as the Ministry of Education to take action. And finally, Mr. Speaker, sir, they get what is called capitation. Nobody knows what happens to that capitation. There is no knowledge, no accountability, no transparency, whatever. So that is with those few words, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for the extra minute, I do support.
Thank you. The Honorable Jane Kihara, followed by the Honorable Mary Omaua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this chance. From the onset, there is nobody in their right mind who would not support this motion because the education sector has literally collapsed. The ministry doesn't know what they are doing. This House does not give them enough budget. Parents are suffering economically. So all those problems that Honorable Mathenge was trying to elaborate are obvious, and we all know them. But the problem is, Mr. Speaker, when you talk of uniforms, instead of the head of state addressing that problem, from a sunroof of a car, he tells teachers to allow kids to go to school with or without uniform. I think we need to be honest with ourselves. It matters education. Where did the rain start beating us. Because those parents, they are with us. We know them. Some of them have no food to give those children, leave alone school fees. Because the government has refused to address the economic affairs or the high cost of living, so that everything else will fall into part. Nobody is interested now, especially the workers. I want to say here and now that the sub-county education office director in Naivasha comes to school or comes to the office when he wants. When there is a function, he's never there, so he doesn't know the problems we are facing. Mr. Speaker, today, in the newspaper, the news was, or what was there is that absenteeism of teachers, because they are all over trying to do side hustles so that they can make ends meet. Mr. Speaker, we have teachers who have threatened to demonstrate or to boycott or to go on strike because of the myriad of problems that we have. I think it's better to call a spade and say education sector, nobody really wants it to work. Yes, it is constitutional. Children must get free education and compulsory. But when this capitation is not coming in time, and the teacher has to run a school, we have sent the children to school, there is no money to run the school. Some of the schools are being auctioned, Mr. Speaker. Even the teaching itself has gone much, much low. Mr. Speaker, it's only today that I heard children who have been in school for 3-4 years can hardly write or speak the language that they are supposed to use for the rest of their life in their everyday life. I think it's not good to hide, to bury our hands in the sand. Nobody is interested in education. The government itself is not interested. We are seeing money being thrown up and down in campaign mood, being given for empowerment when our children are at home because they can't go to school. I think we need to call it as it is and say that, Mr. Speaker, we need to go back to the drawing board if you have to address the children, the education of our children, education sector, because nobody seems to be interested. We are here giving bursaries, yes. How many can you give? Like the children who are here, who I welcome very much, if their parents didn't have money to pay for them so that they come for this trip, they will not be here. So there is no equalization when we know that education is the only thing that can equalize children from rich families and poor families because they are getting the same quality of education. It's not happening and nobody is interested. I think, Mr. Speaker, much as I support this motion, we must know where the problem is because we know there is a problem and a big one. Teachers are doing business. That is where they are saying we go and buy uniform from that place because he wants to make an extra coin. The taxation, they are paying for SHA, they are paying for affordable housing, and they have loans themselves. I think we are being dishonest when we address things so shallowly when we know where the problem is. Mr. Speaker, I support.
Thank you, Speaker, for giving me a chance also to speak to this motion, and allow me to start by congratulating the member, Honorable Madenge, for bringing this motion. It touches on a very sensitive ministry, whereby we are molding our students or children by impacting knowledge so that they can be good leaders or future leaders tomorrow. in all manners of way. Mr. Speaker, I'm a teacher by profession, and once a teacher, always a teacher. And I want to say that this sector of education is faced by myriad problems, and I would support majority of the honorable members who have spoken of this, starting from some of the areas that we still have staffing problems of teachers. And I want to congratulate the government because within a period of around 3 or 4 years, we have employed more than 100,000 teachers, but still, staffing is still a problem to some areas. This is one of the problems. Another one, it has been mentioned that from our time, we hear of teachers who are striking as they try to request the government for their salaries to be hiked. During this time, you know, our student loses the lessons they are supposed to, and when the teachers are caught back, they may not be able to recover all what was supposed to be taught within that time, and there are some students who are supposed to do a national examination by the end of the year. Mr. Speaker, also, due to the thin pay slips, as far as our teachers are concerned, it is true there are those of our teachers who are really absenting themselves with the funny reasons, but it's because they are going to look for side hustles so that they can be able to supplement their pay slips and be able to cater for everything that is around them because of how the economy is. Mr. Speaker, we also agree that there are drugs and substance abuse, right from the teachers to the students. These are also social issues as pertained in that motion of the Honorable Madenge. We also have lack of supervision. There are no inspections that are being done in our schools. Another time I was telling the sub-county director of education, when I was a teacher, we could hear that there is inspection that is to be done, and we used to shake, looking at if you have prepared well, if your, whatever is supposed to be done is in place, and also what is expected to have been taken place as far as the students is concerned is in place. But today, the teachers here of the inspection or any education officers coming to the school, and they don't even move an inch, meaning there is something that is lacking. And if at all, right from there, the inspection is not done properly, then you can imagine of these problems that we are talking about, which are happening to our schools. I come to the areas of the lunch program. Mr. Speaker, it is true. We have the lunch programs because there is the policy that there is education for all, and we are not charging anything in our day secondary schools apart from the lunch program. But you're also finding that in some schools, the lunch program is too much. The amount that has been put to be paid by the end of the year, divided into 3 terms, some is hefty. You find there are schools which are being led by parents who are able, and you find that there is even an egg or a bread at 11 o'clock. You find some of the students who come from the very needy families, they cannot be able to afford this. And you know, when we are giving bursaries, we do not give enough, especially for big constituencies. And I give an example of mine, Maragua constituency, where I give 3,000, which is not enough to all the students who have applied. And 3,000 per year is so little because none of the secondary schools that are requesting for a lunch program by the end of the year, less than 15,000, it is more. So you'll find that some of the students who come from these needy families will have to be sent home because they cannot stay at school and eat while they are not paying. But Mr. Speaker, many are the time that I ask a question. The student is sent home for like a month. He has not eaten to go for the lunch program. When he comes, he's supposed to pay for the whole amount within the term, yet a whole month that student was not at school, meaning he did not eat. So how are we compensating for that? So, Mr. Speaker, we are saying there is a way that we are supposed, as a ministry and as a government, not to allow students to be sent home by virtue of the lunch program. If at all there is anything the parent can be able to do in agreement with his son or daughter and remain in his school without eating the lunch he can carry, then we are not supposed to send these boys and girls home by virtue of the balance in the name of the lunch program. And this is something that we can be able to do, because in the schools we can be able to introduce the meal cards. For those who have been able to pay or whose parents are able to pay, the meal cards are there for them, and the others can carry their own food. Meaning the student can stay in school and not to be sent to miss classes by virtue of this lunch program. Mr. Speaker, also, the issue of the school uniform. I want to say there are many of the principals who are taking advantage of this. You are finding this also in primary schools. Because there is the JSS, there is a uniform for them. And there is that for the primary. And it happens that a young boy or girl maybe grew big, or the uniform got torn before he graduated to the JSS. And therefore there is a uniform that was bought for that lower kanda. And you now find now that the boy or the girl has gone or graduated to the JSS, another uniform has to be bought. Why don't we make it that one can be able to run with whatever kind of an uniform there is, and eventually and gradually the parent to be allowed to pay to buy that uniform when he or she will be able. But not to see students either within the primary or JSS or senior secondary going home by virtue that this student has no proper or current uniform in the class that he or she is. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to say, sometimes we are getting students out of school because of this lunch program, because of the uniform, and other funny things like maybe losing a book, things that can be provided gradually, giving the parent time. Because within our Basic Education Act, it gives the responsibility of the parent when it comes to the provision of uniform, and also provision of lunch program, and also in support of any development in the school, whereby this has been properly discussed with the intervention of the education officials. We know there is that responsibility which the parent is supposed to take care of. Mr. Speaker, we are always complaining when these students are out of school. You know how the outside is. And many of these students are getting trapped in the drugs and substance abuse. Others are getting into early marriage just because this student, his or her esteem has gone down because there is no one who feels good when you have been sent home, when you know others are still in school. So that we can be able to do away with these phases, Mr. Speaker, it is good that the Ministry of Education takes strict measures and gives circulars which are advisory onto whatever is supposed to be done, so that at least most of the time we can be able to retain these students and
allow her to finalize.
And also, thank you, Speaker, for giving me a minute. And also, to show to that we are not discriminating any student by virtue of where he or she comes from. Because we know in some families, they are poverty-stricken or they are needy, And our basic education and policy is education to all. So thank you so much. I support this motion, and I wish the suggestions that we are giving and ideas can be incorporated by the ministry with immediate effect.
Well said. I know remember last week when the CS for Education was here, the questions we sent him back with are exactly the issues in this motion, almost word for word. The Madenge order, the Madenge, you were here last week, and you had the same questions the Minister for Education. And remember, he's supposed to bring back answers the week we come back from it. In fact, he's supposed to bring them tomorrow. You need to be on the lookout so that if his answers can answer the questions that are being raised by this motion, so be it. If not, then we keep pushing to ensure that what you're looking for as a parliament in this particular matter of uniforms is attained. All members, time now being 2 minutes after 1 o'clock. This House stands adjourned until this afternoon at 2:30 p.m.
Stop taking meeting notes and let ClickUp AI Note Taker do it for you. It allows you to focus on your meetings.
For the small, the short, and the tall. Peacemakers, risk takers. For the optimists, pessimists, exhibitionists. For long distance love. For the farsighted, nearsighted. For introverts and extroverts. For the thinkers and the doers. For old friends. Coca-Cola, for everyone. For the big, for the small, the short, and the tall. Peacemakers, risk takers. For the optimists, pessimists, exhibitionists. For long distance love. For the farsighted, nearsighted. For introverts and extroverts. For the thinkers and the doers. For old friends. Coca-Cola, for everyone.
Cold open. Feeling the hunger pangs? Think Mambo Tattoo Maize Meal, the ultimate solution for your breakfast, lunch, or dinner. A versatile staple that adds a hearty touch to any meal. Imagine waking up to the smell of freshly made Mambo Tattoo porridge, the perfect kickstart to your day. Or picture a warm bowl of Mambo Tattoo Ugali, the ideal companion to your favorite stew or vegetables. And it's not just about